If you're wondering, where's the latest episode of Big Damn Cast? Fret ye not, it has its own channel. Click the link in the description below, or wait for the annotation at the end of this video to subscribe to Big Damn Channel and never miss an episode of the Big Damn Cast. On with the review! In 2014, we saw the arrival of the Lego Movie, a film which I think 99% of the population of the cinema viewing planet all went, this is a giant product placement when we first heard about it. But it turned out the movie was absolutely brilliant. It was fantastic comedy with jokes coming in at a mile a minute, excellent casting, brilliant direction, this wonderful mix of stop motion and CGI animation, and overall a really neat, obvious story that turned out to mean something a lot more solid and ambitious by the end of the movie. One of the supporting cast members of this movie was Lego Batman, an arrogant, sort of egotistical take on the character who knows he's awesome because I'm Batman. Anytime anyone's ever done the joke, because I'm Batman, that was this sentence, this declaration, personified as a character, played by Will Arnett, very funny, and now he has his own spin-off movie. The Lego Batman Movie is a 2016 animated motion picture from Warner Brothers, starring Lego Batman in his own adventure, and it's great. Spoiler alert, it's great. Now, I'm going to review the movie now really quickly with no spoilers, and then I will let you know when I'm going to talk spoilers, because to fully indulge in how brilliant this film is, I want to go in depth. But here's the spoiler-free review. So the plot centers around Batman foiling the Joker's latest scheme, and the Joker realizes Batman doesn't actually think about him as fondly or as hatefully as he does him. The Joker's determined to prove that he's Batman's greatest enemy, and Batman's like, you're a Tuesday. And that offends the Joker, so he begins to hatch a really odd scheme to try and get Batman's attention, and to prove that he is his greatest villain in Batman's eyes also. Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne absent-mindedly adopts Dick Grayson from the local orphanage at a gala, and suddenly is confronted with fatherhood and responsibility when Alfred tells him he needs to stop Batmaning just a bit, raise his new son, and start to let people in again. Because since the night he lost his parents, he's always wanted to be a loner. But Alfred knows what he really needs to do is just swallow his pride and become a family man. Commissioner Gordon's retiring. His daughter Barbara, who's a much older version of the character in the Lego movie, the Lego Batman movie, is taking over as commissioner, and she wants to team up with Batman instead of it being this lone nutjob vigilante taking out criminals. It's great. It is quite possibly, again, like the jokes are mile a minute like the Lego movie, but breathing room is allowed when it actually becomes something to emotionally invest in, because yes, this movie does have a heart, despite the fact that it is essentially a spoof movie. It's a parody movie of the superhero genre and the Batman franchise as a whole, but it's quite possibly the best Batman movie. I don't mean like the one that you're like, oh my god, that was incredible. I think The Dark Knight still kind of holds that position, but it's definitely the best movie about Batman. For Batman, focusing on Batman. If you're a fan of the character, we're talking from its comics debut to present day, the 60s TV show, the Tim Burton movies, the Schumacher movies, the Nolan films, the latest incarnation of the DCU, the animated series, the 40s serials, the Lego games. If you're a fan of any version of the character, there are things in here for you. The one thing it seems to take the piss out of the most is the 60s show. It has a couple digs at the 60s show. But the Batman property this movie is most like is the 60s show. Because the 60s show, there are kids who see the 60s show still, like young kids, like back when it was on, who go, oh my god, this is amazing, oh look at all these adventures and these really cool villains and the traps and the cliffhangers and all these gadgets, this is great. Then teenagers and sort of 20-somethings who go, like, oh, this is dumb. And then other people who get older and realise, hang on, this is meant to be dumb. This is a sitcom. It's using Batman as its sort of content, but it's a sitcom, and it's a great sitcom. It's a really dry parody of action-adventure, while still being kind of thrilling in its own right. This movie's like that. This movie is a spoof movie that knows full well that people love and take this stuff too seriously, and takes the piss out of it. It's great. Casting's brilliant. Will Arnett is fantastic as Batman. Michael Cera makes a great Richard Grayson, aka Robin. Rosario Dawson is Commissioner Barbara Gordon. She is fantastic, as always. Zach Galifianakis is Joker. I was worried about him due to the later trailers just sounding like Zach Galifianakis, not really putting on a voice, but that suits this movie. It really suits his character and his take on the Joker, because his Joker isn't about, oh, yeah, ooh, Batman. It's about going like, no, we're in a relationship. You need to work for this. It's a two-way street. So his voice suits this version of the Joker perfectly. Best main casting decision is Ralph Fiennes as Alfred Pennyworth. He is fantastic. Dry delivery, just beautiful. Like, it's like they've taken his would that it were so simple, scene from Hail Caesar, and turn that into a character in an animated Batman movie. A bunch of Batman villains are in this film, but the most DC characters in a movie ever, this is, hands down. There's about 100 characters from the DC canon, if not more, that appear in this film, and they're all wonderfully cast, little voice cameos from comedians. My particular favourite in terms of delivery is Bane. Whenever Bane talks, he sort of talks in the Tom Hardy Bane voice, and he's saying things like, "I feel warm and fuzzy." It's such a nice little touch. I think most importantly, this movie calls Batman out on his shit. All the people that are like, "Oh, Batman's a loner and he's badass because he's just like a butch guy and he looks like punching bad guys in the face." Those people who think it's just about that, you get a bit of a lesson, you get schooled. Because Batman's not just about that. It's about family. It's about justice. It's about doing the right thing. One really nice touch, and this is not a plot spoiler, but one really nice touch is that obviously Batman despises guns because his parents were killed with a gun by Joe Chill in Crime Alley. So this movie sort of subconsciously takes that on board. There are lots of guns in this movie, but not a single one of them make a gun noise. When people are firing them, they go pew pew. So even the movie's sound effects honour what Batman is about. I had a lot of fun with this movie. I was not expecting it to be anywhere near as good as this, and starting the year off strong, I give the Lego Batman movie, as a family film, and particularly as a Batman film, 5 stars. So there's my basic verdict. I'm going to go into some spoiler territory now to talk about spoilers. I know the movie's not out yet, so if you don't want it spoiled, click off now. Go subscribe to Big Damn Cast, link below in the description. If you don't mind it being spoiled, 3, 2, 1. Everyone dies! No one dies. It's a Lego movie. This film is great because it taps into imagination again like the Lego movie did, but in a different way. In the Lego movie, it was about bringing all these things together that were made of Lego, and toward the end of the film, you realised it's because the whole movie was taking place in the head of the kid who was playing with the Lego sets, playing with his dad's Lego sets. In this movie, they use the whole idea of Lego being imaginative, and master building is still in there. At no point do they reference the Lego movie, and at no point do they talk about what master building is. He just master builds a couple of things. But they touch on animation in this movie by including other franchises, a la Lego Dimensions. All of them, bar a couple, are Warner Brothers franchises. So, the main plot is that Joker decides that Batman needs to notice him more, he needs to accept that he's his main villain. So he uses a bit of reverse psychology. There's a news report that Superman has banished Zod to the Phantom Zone, using the Phantom Zone projector. And Superman's on the news going like, well, he's my greatest enemy, you know, I feel like I wouldn't be who I am without Zod challenging me, and the Joker's like, obviously pissed off and jealous. So he hands himself in, he turns himself in and all of his compatriots to Arkham Asylum, apart from Harley Quinn, who goes in disguise as a doctor in Arkham Asylum. He turns himself in, Batman's like, what the hell? So Batman obviously is frustrated about it and poring over it, and he's like, no, I've got to put him away properly, and he needs to be stopped forever. So he goes and steals the Phantom Zone projector with the help of Robin from the Fortress of Solitude during a Justice League party that he's not been invited to. And they steal the Phantom Zone projector, and he breaks into Arkham to use it on the Joker. And the Joker's like, use it and prove I'm your greatest enemy. Which puts him at a crossroads, because he's like, hang on, damn it, he's got a point. But then he realises, for the greater good, and for no other reason. Yeah, there's another reason. He puts him away in the Phantom Zone, which is what the Joker wanted. Because now he's got access to all the heinous villains of the cosmos and other realities. And that's where Warner Brothers takes advantage of licensing. Lego Dimensions sales are probably going to shoot up after this. So who have we got? We've got Sauron, voiced by Jermaine Clement, which is a nice touch. We've got Voldemort. We've got the Wicked Witch of the West. We've got the Kraken from Clash of the Titans. We've got skeletons from Jason and the Argonauts. We've got King Kong, voiced by Seth Green, which is weird. It's just a ton of bad guys. Gremlins, Velociraptors. It's mental. And they're all a big part of the third act. The third act is shutting them down, which includes all the bad guys from Arkham being released to help fight against them. It's so nice. And what's really nice is there's loads of obviously massive drops to the other movies in the history of the other films as well. In particular, my favourite being toward the very beginning when Batman first rocks up during the initial scheme. He just yells, "You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts." And then he hits his Let's Get Nuts mix playlist on his iPad. It's just like, it's beautiful. In terms of non-Warner Brothers properties, the freaking Daleks are in it. Specifically the New Paradigm. Wonder how BBC Worldwide feel about that, but they look good. They're much better than the actual Lego Daleks. They look so much cooler. They're big and chunky. There's just a ton of nice gags and digs at the recent movies, which is weird because they obviously animated this way ahead of time, so they must have preempted it. There's a bit where talking about using the other Batman villains or the Arkham inmates to help fight the bad guys, and Batman says, like, using bad guys to fight bad guys, that's a ridiculously stupid idea. And it's like, I mean, they just made a Suicide Squad jab before they even knew the world hated that movie. That is foresight. And just like the Lego movie, there is a big dumb happy song toward the end called Friends Are Family, which is so stupid that it's amazing to see. Like, just to see these characters like singing this song, like all these heinous, horrible villains singing a really happy song during the end credits. It was wonderful. So many nice little nods. The costume that Dick briefly wears is a Nightwing-esque costume. It's one of the versions of the Nightwing costume pre him being Nightwing. There's Alfred at one point is in the 60s costume, the Batman costume, and then is in like a 1940s serial sort of mask and hat version of his costume. It's great. Barbara becomes gets an outfit, and Batman says, "This one's called Batgirl," and she goes, "Oh, can I call you Bat Boy?" And then they never touch on it again. It's great. Matt and I will talk more about it in this weekend's Big Damn Cast, which brings me to my last point, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't already found out, Big Damn channel is now live on YouTube. We've got weekly videos, and the Big Damn Cast is on there. Click these annotations here to subscribe and check out the latest episodes, and I'll see you again very soon. First try.